What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm excited to have you here today. This is going to be a trade paperback review because I Freaking Love Comics is doing a Club Valiant book, like reading club. And they're trying to put it together kind of in the best order for the relaunch of Valiant as a publisher and kind of the steps they went through and some of the best books to navigate the timeline. And so the first book that was on the list was the trade collection for Manowar called By the Sword. It's the first volume, it's the first 4 issues of Manowar that relaunched Valiant in 2016. And so I read this, but I missed out on their live discussion book club get together of it. So I thought, why don't I do my own video? So this is that. Before I ramble too much longer, don't forget to like and subscribe, comment, connect. Do whatever you do on the platform that you're on. Just look for my furry face inside of an orange circle and click all the buttons next to it. So Manowar, well, let me start with Valiant. Valiant is a company, a publisher that I'm, vaguely familiar with. I've been reading their stuff. I've more recently been collecting some of their older back issues as inspired by Jason, the Southern Comic Geek. So definitely check out his channel. The guy is so incredibly knowledgeable. He even did almost like, I would call it a TEDx event or something. I'll try to link it up here. But he basically did, he was on a video where he kind of answered questions, but went through the whole history of Valiant as a publisher. And it's kind of like an awesome Wikipedia entry or something, So definitely check that out. But for me, in probably like 2018, I discovered, maybe 2019, early 2019, I discovered Valiant through Rye. People were suggesting Valiant comics. I was like, I don't really know much about this. And Rye was a character that when he was described to me, just really piqued my interest. And the first suggestion was Matt Kent and Clayton Crane's run on the character in New Japan in 4000 AD and all of that. So that's actually where I started. And I don't know, maybe that was the deep end. I'm not sure, but I really enjoyed it. I thought it was absolutely great. I will never forget the scene of Rai getting sucker punched off of New Japan and then the way that he just like comes right back. I love Rai. I think he's a great character. I read Fallen World as that was coming out. That was kind of a Rai-oriented event. And then I, continue reading Dan Abnett's work on the Rai ongoing series that we have going right now. So I've met other characters through Rai. B. Clay Moore did a great run called Killers that kind of touched on the Ninjak world of things without actually having Ninjak in it. So there's been some good runs, and then I've read some of the Cullen Bunn stuff with Punk Mambo and Shadow Man is going on right now. Roku he did, and then also Fred Van Linte's run on Psylords is something that I enjoyed as well. So I do have like a loose foot in the Valiant universe, but I've also known how important Manowar as a character is to the entire Valiant universe. And sadly, I've never read any of his stories. So whenever I saw I Freaking Love Comics put out a call to do like a book club around the Valiant universe and try to get people up to speed. And so they're putting out a reading order that kind of takes you through the rebirth of the Valiant universe in the best way possible. And at the top here, we have Manowar. That was the first character that they relaunched. And so he's pretty significant to the universe they've built. And so this was a perfect starting point. I really enjoyed this book. I think in their video, they definitely all came off very positive. So I think this is a really good starting point for the universe. I love the story. In the first issue, you're introduced to, Eric. And he's he's a Visigoth warrior in a time when Rome kind of dominates the land. And so they're kind of defending themselves from the colonization of the Roman Empire. And things aren't going so well. He's forced to retreat. But then they kind of regroup and they think they have a way to take out this this legion of Roman warriors, And so when they come back and attack, well, they quickly realize that they have overestimated themselves and underestimated their enemy, because these are not Roman soldiers. These are actually alien creatures in an alien spaceship that they've mistaken as like a soldier transport of sorts or something. So ultimately, they kind of get their butts handed to them because they're primitive warriors fighting against an advanced alien race. So they're rounded up as slaves, and from there we see them in deep space. They're harvesting basically like eggs for this species. It's spoken of as if it's a garden, but at the same time, like they realize, I think they try to eat one at one point because they're starving, and the aliens like lose their minds, and really wring their necks over that one. So it definitely seems like these are, their babies, their eggs, their hatchlings, something like that. So this is important to their race. Our main character, Eric, he loses an arm here. And we also find out that they have this ancient armor, and it looks like a little ball. It reminds me of Metroid, because it's like this little ball that floats there, and then whenever they select a chosen one to put on the armor, it like unfolds and becomes this suit that covers them up. Again, very Metroid-like. And the problem they're having is all of their chosen ones die. When they put it on, it's just like, they scream out in pain, and then you see like their nose bleed and they fall over dead, and the suit turns back into a ball on the pedestal, and their brains are basically bleeding out all over the floor. So they don't really know how to use this technology, but they believe that it's like a suit that a powerful warrior would wear. So things progress, and of course, the humans get tired of being held hostage. The other big fear that they have is that the Romans have taken their children and their wives and everything, and they're captives, in the Roman Empire now. So they really want to escape here so they can go back to Rome and free their families. So they have an uprising, a rebellion. They take out a couple of the guards and stuff, and they're able to sneak into what they think is the armory, but come to find out for them, this is where that suit is at. And so Eric approaches the suit, and it takes over, and then he screams out in pain like everybody before him. That arm that he had lost earlier, it regrows, and he's able to like shoot energy out of his wrist, so and you get some really cool action and stuff there. Plenty of great fighting and things. There's some heartbreak as some of the others are lost, but ultimately, and I think this is kind of where it flows into the third issue, ultimately Eric is able to figure out how to make the suit take him back home. So he basically crash lands on Earth in the suit, and he gets up and he's in the Colosseum in Rome. So he's ready to fight, and then he's quickly approached by like state police or whatever from Rome, and it's modern day and everything. People are at the Colosseum taking pictures of it as a historical landmark. And so then Exo gets into some trouble with the new government and all this kind of stuff. And that kind of sets up the idea that he went into deep space and he's come back, and now times have changed. And I don't know if he's going to be able to time travel or if that's a thing here, but when he's in deep space, they represent it when he loses his arm. They cut his arm off, and then they pick him up and throw him in the cell. You flip the page, and it's like weeks later, or years later, I think is what it says. And he's old and grizzled with the beard. His arm is still wrapped up and everything. And that's when they do the rebellion. So in deep space, our understanding is that a few years has passed. Maybe it's been a year, 2 years, 5 years, something like that. 10 years, 20 years even. But when he gets back to Earth, he realizes that 16 centuries have passed. So I don't know if it's time travel or if it's like time displacement. Time moves at different speeds where you're at. So maybe on Earth it's been 16 centuries and it's only been 10 years in space. They don't really reveal any of that. But there's obviously some issues with like alien technology showing up out of nowhere on Earth. And Exo can like fly around. He can shoot lasers. People are tripped out. He has to fight some airplanes and stuff. So kind of a fish out of water element there. And then you get like this big epilogue where they kind of set up that, and this was touched on a little bit in the epilogue of the first issue, but I mean, it was just a couple of panels, and so I really didn't think too much of it until you get to the end of this fourth issue. So good setup there. And essentially, there, what you find out is that they've been planting these alien beings on Earth to look like humans. So there's like this secret cabal of people running the world and stuff that are all these alien creatures that Exo just escaped from in deep space. And we also know that now the armada of ships that he escaped from are very much on his trail to get that suit back. So they're headed for Earth as well. So there's a lot of the beginning's pretty. These first four issues was very streamlined. It was all about Exo. You got a little bit about the aliens, and then obviously that was sandwiched in between some pretty big elements of the alien species. So that's a great setup for the first issue, but it also sets a lot of chess pieces in motion. So it'll be interesting to see in volume 2 how we're going to start to see like the secret cabal versus the aliens that are in deep space, because they're both the same species, but they seem to have lived very different lives. And so there could be a source of contention between the two sides of this, with the humans on Earth caught in the middle. Exo Manowar obviously caught in the middle of all of that. Plus his time displacement, he's going to want to go back 16 centuries to save his wife, who he does have a couple of flashbacks to in this first volume. So this is a great setup. Very solid, very strong first issue. The art is absolutely beautiful. However, I do agree the paneling is a little basic. It's a lot of just straight grids. You're not getting anything too special. I can think of maybe 2 or 3 instances where we got like a big splash, or even just a page that did something really cool and different and unique with the layouts and the paneling. But that's not necessarily a bad thing either, because I feel like you're getting introduced to a universe. There's a lot of big concepts in here, and so it is good that like the systems in place to move you through the story are pretty basic and like can really bring you into this world and immerse you. I would like to see, as we get farther into Exo's story and the universe here, I would like to see some of that kind of stuff upgrade a little bit, so that we as readers feel like we're starting to get more and more. And obviously, as you're reading a comic, your ability and talent and skill is going to upgrade slightly. So it would be nice to see the book also upgrade with this. And so yeah, I really enjoyed this first one. I mean, honestly, this is like an 8-star book for me. All 4 issues were solid. They all told a really concise story about Eric and Exo, and you get a lot of personality. You learn his name, you learn what he likes, and you learn what he doesn't like, or like what his biggest fear is. And so I think with those 3 elements, you have a very well-rounded character. This is Eric, or Exo Manowar. His loves are his wife, his family, and his people, his tribe. And his biggest fear is losing them. And that's happened. And it's happened in like a much greater scale and a greater way than anyone could have ever anticipated, to be honest. I mean, you're talking about a primitive species. The Visigoths, they don't exist anymore. It's an extinct, an extinct race of people. And, so I think it's kind of interesting that they did like some fictional history kind of stuff there, and kind of tied it into something we can understand. Like it's got this really great solid grounding, but then it also like goes off into like space and gets into some crazy concepts there. So I really enjoyed this book. I really enjoyed the review that the I Freaking Love Comics channel did. So check out their channel. Get involved with this. This is a great way to get into Valiant. A majority of what we're reading, especially here at the beginning, is all on Comixology Unlimited, so there's no reason for you to run out and buy anything new or spend extra money. This is just a great way to learn about a universe and kind of get into it with others. That's all I have for today. I thought Exo was great. I'm excited for more of it. Until next time, keep flipping pages.